Call a regular city commission meeting to order. Would you please rise for the invocation followed by the pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity we have here this evening. We ask, Lord, a special blessing on the city commission, that you guide us and you direct us. You give us the knowledge, you give us the wisdom you want us to have to make the decisions that are in the best interest of our citizens. And on today, Lord, we ask that you remember 24 years ago, Lord, what happened in this country. We still pray for those families, Lord, that are still suffering. So please be with all of our first responders and all of our city employees. For all these things we ask in your most precious heavenly name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda tonight is our budget hearing. So we'll have the first reading and public hearing to adopt the proposed budget and millage rate for year 25-26. Ordinance 25-30.
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance 25-30, an ordinance levying tax upon all taxable property within the city of Winter Garden, Florida for the tax year beginning on October 1, 2025 and ending on September 30, 2026.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
You have to read the whole script. Sorry, Angie
Sorry,
got the
there.
script for you.
I did give you script, sorry.
Did you? Oh. Do I have it? Oh, good.
Also, ordinance 25-31, an ordinance appropriating and allocating.
Just
Sorry?
25-30.
30.
We need the extra.
Section.
We just need the extra.
Okay, so we're just going to proceed with ordinance 25-30. Let me start that over, Mayor. Ordinance 25-30, an ordinance levying tax upon all taxable property within the city of Winter Garden, Florida for the tax year ending on October 1, 2025 and ending on September 30, 2026. City Commission of the City of Winter Garden hereby adopts, establishes, and levies a millage rate for ad valorem taxation of real and tangible personal property within the City of Winter Garden for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025 and ending on September 30, 2026 at the rate of 4.8565 mils. That's $4.8565 for every $1,000 of assessed valuation upon the assessed valuation of property within the corporate limits of the city of Winter Garden, Florida. This millage rate is greater than the rollback rate of 4.2012 mils by 15.60%.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Ordinance 25-30 proposes to set the millage rate at 4.8565, which is an increase from the current millage rate of 4.5 mils. As you recall from our recent budget workshop, we reviewed the city's financial outlook for fiscal year 2026 and emphasized the importance of ensuring that ongoing revenues cover ongoing expenditures. And tonight, we'd like to go over a few of the highlights from the budget workshop for an overview of how the city's budget works, the challenges we face for funding, and why we're recommending the proposed budget rate to ensure long-term financial stability. As a reminder, the city's operating revenues come from property taxes, sales taxes, utility fees, and other sources that recur each year. Operating expenses include the day-to-day services our residents depend on, such as fire, police, parks, and road maintenance. We also maintain reserves, which serve as the city's savings account. These reserves are set aside for emergencies, unexpected costs, and one-time needs for major equipment. One of the key principles of sound financial management is that ongoing revenues cover ongoing expenses. This provides stability for the city's services year after year. If we rely too heavily on unstable or one-time revenues, we risk having to cut the services and dip into reserves just to maintain operations. Reserves play a vital role in the city's financial health. They allow us to respond quickly to emergencies such as hurricanes, provide funding for one-time needs, like major equipment, and act as a short-term bridge to cover for temporary revenue loss. As we discussed at length during the budget workshop, the general fund is the backbone of the city's operations. For the public safety, for fire and police protection services, it covers the general government for core foundational support services, which includes the city commission, city manager's office, city clerk, finance, HR, legal, cybersecurity, planning and development. We have our culture and recreation, which provides for quality of life for Winter Garden, provides for parks, recreation programs, and community events. We also provide for transportation for the maintenance of roads, sidewalks, and traffic control systems. And the general fund provides funding for economic and human services, which encompasses the community relations and fostering community engagement and well-being. Our proposed fiscal year 2026 general fund budget totals $68 million. Of that, public safety makes up for the majority at 57%, followed by general government 14%, parks and recreation at 9%, physical environment 7%, roads at 5%, debt service at 4%, transfer to the CRA at 3%, and economic environment at 3%. Ad valorem revenues, which are property taxes, are the primary funding source for the general fund services. These help support the fire, police, parks, planning, recreation, public services, public works, and infrastructure. But ad valorem revenues alone are not enough to fund these services. The general fund also relies on other revenues such as sales tax and fees, charges for services, rentals, and investment earnings. However, some of these alternative sources are unpredictable and volatile, which makes them for long-term planning difficult. For fiscal year 2026, we are predicting $2.9 million investment earnings. While this is helpful for the revenues, they are subject to market conditions and cannot be guaranteed year after year. For that reason, they should not be relied upon to support core operations like staffing public safety services or essential equipment. Stable and recurring revenues ensure that services remain reliable for our residents. At the current millage rate of 4.5 mils, the general fund is nearly balanced. However, it includes unstable revenues and leaves reserves at 17%, which is below our 20% target. Steady revenues and healthy reserves are critical to continuing operations and responding to unexpected events. To reach the 20%, we need to either identify new recurring revenues or reduce expenditures by approximately $2.2 million. The proposed fiscal year 2026 budget was built using a zero-based approach, meaning every department had to justify expenses from the ground up. This resulted in the operating expenses to increase by only 0.8%, while the CPI rate is at 2.7%. No new positions have been added to the budget. The budget continues to prioritize public safety, dedicating 57% of the funds to the budget. And it maintains the general fund balance at 20%. As you recall from our budget workshop, we went over the cost of delivering city services are exceeding and outpacing the operating revenues available to support them. As this graph shows, inflation gradually increased from 2000 to 2020, then increased at a much faster pace than revenue, impacting the cost of services, supplies, and equipment. Same with minimum wage. From 2000 to 2020, increases in minimum wage were modest and driven largely by market demand. However, beginning in 2021, the pace increased and accelerated significantly due to state-mandated wage laws. Personnel costs are the largest driver of operating expenses for fiscal year 2026. Personnel costs include contractual wage increases, cost of living adjustments, higher health insurance premiums, and pension contributions. This graph shows the fiscal year 2025 full-time equivalent employees per 1,000 population among our neighboring cities. Winter Garden continues to operate lean with a 7.6 employee per 1,000 ratio, which is the lowest ratio among our peer cities. As you can see, that Winter Garden is depicted in the green bar on this graph. This low FTE ratio reflects a fiscally conservative approach to carefully manage tax dollars while also delivering outstanding service to our citizens. Capital improvements remain another key priority for the city. The general fund budget includes $2.3 million in capital improvements, and these investments are essential to protect public safety, maintain infrastructure, and support efficient operations. As we discussed earlier, the current 4.5 millage rate would balance the budget. However, that balance leaves the fund balance at 17%. We would need to either identify new revenues or cut expenditures by $2.2 million to meet our reserve ratio target of 20%. When looking at cutting expenditures, it is important to realize that not all dollars are equal. We consider expenditures that allocated to public safety as restricted. Therefore, they are not open for being cut. We also have other expenditures that are legally tied to specific uses from specific revenues. Those also cannot be cut. That leaves $19 million for unrestricted expenditures. If we were to cut $2.2 million in expenditures, we would need to cut approximately 11.4% from personnel, operating, and capital from the unrestricted expenditures. Staff is recommending to keep the services intact and are recommending the millage rate increase from 4.5 to 4.8565 mils. Ad valorem revenues at 4.8565 mils would equate to approximately $30.3 million, and the ad valorem revenues at 4.5 mils would equate to approximately $28.1 million. This chart shows the estimated ad valorem tax revenues at the current rate of 4.5, what the increase of revenues would be at 4.65, 4.75, and 4.8565. Staff recommends a 4.8565 millage rate, which would generate approximately $2.2 million in additional recurring stable revenues. The chart also shows what the estimated property tax increase would be for a home with an assessed value of $200,000 and homestead exemption of $50,000. The increase from 4.5 mils to 4.8565 mils would equate to approximately $53 a year. This graph shows the actual city millage rate and compares it to what the millage rate would be had it moved with the CPI. The CPI adjusted millage rate would equate to 5.78 mils. And this graph shows the proposed fiscal year 2026 property tax rate for Winter Garden and our neighboring cities. The city's current rate of 4.5 is shown in green, and a proposed rate of 4.8565 is shown in orange. As you can see, the state of Winter Garden still has one of the lowest tax rates in our area. By increasing the millage rate, the city will be able to fund costs of services with operating revenues and maintain a 20% reserve fund balance. Staff recommends moving forward with the proposed rate of 4.8565, which will help ensure that we are funding our ongoing services with ongoing stable revenues to strengthen our reserve balance and positions the city for long-term financial sustainability. The proposed budget reflects careful planning and prioritization to keep Winter Garden strong and resilient. And finally, as a reminder, the statutory process. The first budget hearing is tonight, September 11th, and the second final hearing will be held on September 25th at 6:30 p.m. That staff recommends approval of ordinance 25-30.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from the commission?
On one of the slides,
Just 1 second, we'll give.
oh yeah,
Yeah, sure. Anything from the commission? Okay. This is a public hearing, so now we'll open the public hearing if you wish to come up, sir, and talk.
I just have a question to this one.
Okay.
Passed real quickly on one of the slides showing the COLA of 3%. What does that cost of living adjustment for?
The COLA, that's a cost of living adjustment?
Let's go back and see that slide.
Sure.
Why did you pass it right up?
Why did I pass it right up?
Yeah. You didn't discuss it. You
Okay.
went to the lines above that, and then you went to the next slide.
I said that there is a wage adjustment for the collective bargaining unit.
Keep on going back, it's not there.
Oh, okay,
Keep on going back.
back.
It's in green.
In green. Not sure it's interesting.
Was the pie chart?
You want that?
Could
Just
the
go-
print be bigger?
We,
Reserve, services, expenditures,
Keep on going.
okay, revenues, volatility, general fund summary. This one?
Show COLA on that one, no, keep on going.
was it a
This
bar
is
graph?
a COLA. It's a 3% COLA for non-fire union employees. Okay, keep going. This one showed the FTEs per employee per 1,000.
Okay. You showed the cost of living adjustment.
You talking about the one that had the CPI on there?
I don't remember, went too fast. All I saw was
No,
cost of living adjustment.
go,
And the one that.
where
one
you-
that's the adjustment.
where you had it by city and the ad valorem, we had to,
CPI, and I think you had on there.
Oh, the millage rate?
Yeah. Maybe that's the one he's talking about.
This one?
Yeah.
No, not there.
Okay.
Not the consumer price index, no.
No, the
Oh,
only
okay.
COLA one that, okay.
Well, let's go with the 3% COLA, you kept on going.
Right.
You get a chance to evaluate it, see it, or read it.
Yeah, that's it, it's right here. So we have a 7.5% wage increase for fire personnel, which is in accordance with their CBA, their collective bargaining agreements. We have a 3% COLA for all non-fire union employees, health insurance increases on the premiums, and pension contributions, which are calculated by our
We got
actuary.
3% COLA on top of 7% wage increase?
No, that's included. The 7.5% wages is for fire union.
Right.
Yeah.
So the 3% is just for regular employees?
Unemployed, non-fire.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir, you come up, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. John Wall, I'm at 714 Reflections Lane, here in the Black Lake Park Homeowners Association. My first question is, does this budget include or exclude what I'd heard previously regarding the $400 specific to the fire department and the ambulance?
Excludes.
It includes it?
It excludes.
Excludes it. So in addition to this increase, we may have the extra,
Not this year.
not this year, okay, because I wasn't here when that
I
happened.
can't speak
Right.
for the future.
So here's my second question, it's very simple. When doing the budget, how do you, and I realize that you have differences between what we're gonna collect based on the current rate and what we need, how do you take into consideration all the new building that's coming around that will eventually, during the year, equate to additional collections? How did you do that?
So every year we get a certification of taxable value around July 1st. And then within that certification of taxable value, you have the value of all new homes, constructions, renovations, etc. So anything that would come online after that certification of taxable value will not be picked up until next year.
So you may collect something.
No,
Not this year.
next year.
So, across the street from Black Lake Park, all those new homes that will close in the year of 25 to September 26, you won't collect any real estate taxes.
They won't be included in the taxable value that sets this millage rate.
Well, for the budget, I mean, the city should be collecting something because you have a closing document that says I have to pay taxes in advance. I mean, I'm not buying a house here, I'm thinking about when this
There
happens.
won't be a prorated tax bill that I'm
No.
aware of.
No. That's interesting. It just surprises me that somebody would live in a house and not have tax money due to the city for a period of up to 11 months.
A lot of times, it's based on the vacant lot, and I only know that because I do real estate. So when they close, the current year is based on the vacant lot, and it's reprorated, so all we really have to budget with is the actual numbers.
Okay, now, that makes sense. Now I'm understanding what you're saying when you're saying you're not collecting it because it's based on the vacant lot. Got it. So that's why you won't have that additive to our current year budget
Until next year.
until the following year. And then I'm just thinking about, does that give us a cushion to the following year and we'll see a benefit a year from now?
If you can tell me what the cost of living is going to be, I'm pretty expensive, I guess we'll probably answer that.
I just always think in advance. So
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We do too, we try. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
My name is Brenda Vanover. I live at 1063 Sadie Lane in Island Point. And I know the fire thing was shut down, but I saw a piece of paper over at Jesse Brock that said that this new millage rate would equate to $35. Is that a month?
Ma'am, it depends on the value of your home.
if you have a taxable value of $200,000 on your house, it equates to about $71 a year. If you had a taxable value of maybe $300,000, that's taxable value, not, may or may not be close to market value. You would have about $107 a year increase, or about $14 a month.
Okay, well, like a lot of people here, I'm retired, limited budget.
Me too.
I have children with disability, grandchildren with disabilities that live with me. So money is always very
Right.
tight, so it's pretty scary to think about it. But when I saw the $35, I wasn't sure what that meant.
For the year? Was that on your statement? Did you get a statement?
No, she
No,
was
it
on
was
it just.
on a news article, excuse me, it's on a news article that I read over at Jesse Brock. It was
Yeah.
just laying out and somebody had highlighted it. But it, I wasn't sure if that was monthly or,
If you just took the taxable value of your home, if you look at your last statement, take the taxable value, multiply it by 0.00450, get a number, then multiply it by 0.0048565, subtract the two, it will tell you what your difference would be.
But it's only $35 more a year for her.
How much is the taxable value?
Both, on that example that she read, it's
Yeah.
35 for the year.
that was the example, okay.
Right.
If I may, Mayor, if
We
you
don't know
look
the
at
value
the
of the house
example,
where the sample came from.
Pardon me?
We don't know the value of the house. where the-
Understand.
Yeah.
but we also included an example in this presentation
Right.
tonight that was based on 200,000
Mhm.
with a $50,000 exemption. It would be $53 a year.
A year.
Yeah, that'd be 150 taxable value. Yeah.
All right. And I know you all, brainstormed all this, but are there other ways that you could earn money in Winter Garden, like all these festivals that we have? Can we not charge people for parking, or, you've got big lots out there, behind Dillard's, could you charge $5 a carload? Because you bring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people here for these festivals, and it's free.
And it's certainly an avenue that we're going to be exploring. Obviously, there's some things that we gotta look at, whether or not there's an investment in technology or how we're gonna control some of these parking lots.
Yeah, that would be
Do that.
difficult, I
Yeah,
understand, but,
The other difficult part of that too, we talked about, is you can charge in the parking lots where it's old Jimmy's Thriftway or the parking lot and so forth. That's gonna push more and more people to the side streets, and you can put up all the new parking signs you want.
They're
That
gonna
does not
park
mean
over
they're not
there.
gonna park there.
well, I just hope we're brainstorming about
We
that.
are.
Or maybe we get sponsorship from some other people, but festivals are so important to this city, I know that. I'm so sad that we're not gonna have the Halloween, and I understand that's part of the budget, but my grandkids look forward to, looking at the Halloween decorations, and so I'm sad about that, but hopefully we can come up with some sort of solution.
Are you happy that it's not $35 a month, that it's $35 a year?
Yeah, very much so. That's more palpable than, the
Yes,
other.
ma'am.
Because if it was $35 a month, it's no different than having the fire assessment.
Yes.
Because it was gonna be $400 and some for the size of my house. And I moved here from Kentucky, and I'm paying 4 times the tax rate here than I did in Kentucky,
Oh, yeah.
which just kills me. But, it is what it is, and I
Yeah.
love living in Winter Garden. But I also, have to live, as many of these people do. So just keep in consideration, maybe there's some other ways we could make revenue. And ripping up this city, the developers need to be taxed, instead of giving them tax breaks, they need to be taxed to the hilt, because the growth needs to slow down. Because that's one of the reasons our resources are stretched, is because we got so many people. And Winter Garden goes all the way down to Hamlin, I mean, it's a huge area. So,
We're short of there, but yeah.
yeah, just short, but I'm just saying it's a
Yeah.
big area, and I just noticed they had just ripped up a piece of property off of Fuller's Cross and Crown Point. All the trees are gone on that lot too, so it just continues, so I hope we are charging the developers a good tax rate. So, that's all I have to
All
say.
right, thank you, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Bob Buchanan, 148 Roper Drive. Impact fees, where are we figuring the impact fees into our budget to be able to have the money we need whenever fire stations and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, need to have, why aren't we charging more to the builders for that whenever it comes on? Because I think that's part of our stress that we've had in the budget, along with, you know, all our sewer stuff and everything else. The state has mandated and put our water bills out of sight now and everything else because of that. That just, it was more of a statement than thing, but I'd like to see more of that be looked at in the future.
Reviewing every one of them.
Every one.
Okay. Yep, reviewing every one of them. And, please don't hesitate to call DeSantis. And tell me to quit mandating and not sending us money.
Good evening, Noreen Dworkin, Vox Populi, Editor-in-Chief, wintergardenbox.com. The property tax, you talked about the rollback rate. Can you put that into dollars for me? How much we're collecting over last year? You mentioned a percentage. How much property tax we're gonna collect over last year? I'd like to be able to mention both.
We'll get it and I'll send it to you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. One more question. You mentioned that insurance costs are going up. I know that's affecting the COE as well. I think they mentioned that their costs were 10% higher than last year. Is that about the same here?
We're estimating 12, correct, Laura? 12?
12? Do you have a dollar figure on that?
Not right now, no.
Not right now, okay. You tell me what you did last year.
Can I tell you what I did last year?
What did the city pay for health insurance last year?
Not right now, I don't have that number on me, but I can get that to you.
Is it on the site?
No, we don't have it calculated as just $1 amount. It's right, if you want to go throughout the entire budget, look at line 45, you can, but I can get that for you.
12% is fine. Okay, it's 12% higher from last year. Okay, that was, okay. Thank you very much, appreciate you.
Anyone else?
Filled out my sheet for you.
Hi, thanks for listening to the citizens, I really appreciate it. Sorry, I'm nervous, so.
That's okay. Give your name and address, please, ma'am.
Yes, Troy Knight, 1527 Hawkesbury Court, over at Fuller's Cross. And I was just coming to talk about the millage rate raise from the 4.5 to 4.865. And that is, my understanding is it's a 7.92 increase. That is on top of the 7.7 increase that they already get for just the property values going up. Am I correct? Does that sound about right? 15% increase this year, including those two items. The millage going up and then the
I'd have to look at the,
automatic.
what we received in property tax last year versus this year
Okay.
to do an accurate calculation against the dollar
Okay,
amount.
that was my calculation, so it's going up 15%, and that the millage has not raised at all since 2018. So during that time from 18 to now, they still have received, the city's received 94% more tax increases, dollar values. That's my understanding, I think that's correct.
Okay.
So I respectfully request that instead of jumping it up so high in 1 year, I know that the numbers sound small, that maybe they should break it up and maybe not do the, 8.5, but maybe do something more like 4% instead of 7. So you take it incrementally up instead of bang, where you hit us right away with 15%. That's it. Thank you.
One of the thoughts, just I'll mention from my perspective, one of the thought on that is we've had people the year say, well, why don't you go up by the inflation rate, the PPI, the CPI each year? We've tried our best not to do that. In hindsight, is that the best way? You wouldn't be sitting here saying, why are you going up 7.92%? But on the flip side of that, if we'd have done that, once again, depending on the value, the taxable value of your home, I would venture to say you probably would have paid in excess of $1,000, $1,500 more in taxes during that time if we hadn't done that. And then the second part of that is back in 2018, we have a lot less houses today, so when we go up, now there is more revenue spread over, this time period. So I guess that's how we kind of looked at it.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, and it would have cost our residents more money if we'd have done that each year, and that's what we were trying to protect and not do. And, over the last few years, expenses have just gone up so much, we got.
So maybe try to cut spending somewhere a little more.
We have,
something.
tell me how much.
Yeah.
And I know you're making every
We've cut
effort
out
to
a lot.
cut, and.
If I may add to that, your math is absolutely correct, and if you were to look at ad valorem revenues for 25, and you were to look at 26 revenues inclusive of the proposed property tax increase, that number's 144%. And everybody gets really hung up on that, but if you were to go down and look at the cost of just public safety expenditures over that same period of time, it would have went up 118%. When you look at the math on each, ad valorem is about $17 million over that period. Public safety is $20 million, so there's a $3 million deficit over that same period of time. So I know it's a lot, but we've had corresponding increases in public safety that far exceed the revenue that's been generated.
When I get my trim bill and I look on the back and I say, oh, okay, look, what are the other increases? No, none of the other increases are even close to even way more than double what the city of Winter Garden's doing versus
But
Orange
look at-
County from there.
But look at what they charge versus what we do in millage rate. We're still low in the other cities because they've already done that. Or some of them have done, looking at what we did and didn't do for our assessments, which is not in there. So, yes, ma'am, and from an increase to this year it's higher, but if you look at where we are in millages, she showed you on the slides, we're still, low in the area.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Okay, we will close the public hearing. Any other questions from the city commission?
Not really questions. We should have done it incrementally, I guess, over the years, and hindsight is 20/20, but we all have our budgets, and none of us want our taxes to go up and be included. But we do have to pay our bills, and we have to be fiscally responsible and have a buffer. It's just math. And we have cut, and we're just asking for further cuts. So I don't want you to think that it's not, that it's taken lightly. It's not. That's it. I would make a motion
Okay,
to approve ordinance 25-30.
we have a motion to approve ordinance 25-30. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. We would like to thank everyone for their comments. Please. Ordinance 25-31.
Yes, Mayor, ordinance 25-31, an ordinance appropriating and allocating all revenue and funds of the city of Winter Garden, Florida for the tax year beginning on October 1, 2025 and ending on September 30, 2026, whereas it is anticipated that there will be available for use and disbursement from the general funds of the city revenue in the following amounts. Collection of ad valorem, $30,277,220. Revenue other than ad valorem, $40,026,490 for total revenues available for expenditures of $70,303,710.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ordinance 25-31 appropriates and allocates all revenues and funds for fiscal year 2026. This ordinance sets the total general fund operating budget funded through both ad valorem revenues at approximately $30.3 million and other revenues at approximately $40 million. Staff recommends approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from the commission? Okay. Once again, this is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Need a motion from the commission.
Motion to approve ordinance 2531.
Second. We have a motion and we have a second, and with, all these are with the second reading of public hearing on September the 25th. We have a motion second on that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried unanimously. Ordinance 25-32.
Yes, sir, ordinance 25-32, an ordinance appropriating and allocating all revenue and funds of the Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA, of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, for the tax year beginning on October 1, 2025, and ending on September 30, 2026. Whereas it is anticipated that will be available for use and disbursement from the CRA funds of the city, revenue in the following amounts: collection of ad valorem, $1,742,489, revenue other than ad valorem for $1,663,859, with total revenues available for expenditure of $3,406,348.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Ordinance 25-32 appropriates and allocates all revenues and funds for the CRA for fiscal year 2026. Adoption will ensure the CRA can meet the funds needed for continuing supporting redevelopment and initiatives in the designated CRA areas. Staff has met with the CRA advisory board. They have voted on it unanimously to approve it, to move it forward to commission for approval, and staff recommends approval.
Questions from the commission? Once again, this is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to comment. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. And we need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 25-32.
For the second reading public hearing on September 25th. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Ordinance 25-33.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 25-33, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Winter Garden authorizing the appropriation of city funds for fiscal year 2025 through 2026 in accordance with Article 3, Section 30.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
This ordinance 25-33 reflects the budget as reviewed and considered by the City Commission, ensuring the city's position to meet its financial obligations for the coming year. Staff recommends approval.
Questions from the commission? Once again, this is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. And we need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 25-33.
Second reading public hearing, September 25th. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Regular business. Approval of our minutes from the August 28th meeting. They have been distributed. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Mayor, I just noticed that the script didn't have the full title of that ordinance. I'd like to read that full title just
On the
without the
33rd?
last- Yes, sir.
Okay.
But if I might, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Ordinance 25-33, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Winter Garden, Florida, authorizing the appropriations of city funds for fiscal year 2025 through 2026 in accordance with Article 3, Section 30, subsection 5 of the City Charter of the City of Winter Garden, Florida, and Florida Statute 166.241 for the purpose of fulfilling the financial obligations of the city. I think just for certainty, I'd suggest another opening and vote on that.
Okay. Now let's go back to the public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. On ordinance 2533, we will open a public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close that, and we will get another motion, please.
Motion to approve ordinance 25-33. With the second reading and public hearing September 25th.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
I second with the second reading of public hearing on that.
We have a approved. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's right.
Now we have first reading public hearing of proposed ordinances, ordinance 25-23.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 25 an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Winter Garden, Florida, amending Chapter 98 Planning and Development to create a new section 98-1 City of Winter Garden Code of Ordinances to address relief concerning declared emergency restrictions of Section 28 of Chapter 2025-190 laws of Florida, providing for codification, conflicts, severability, and effective date.
Guess I'll come back to that. Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Ordinance 25-23 would amend the City of Winter Garden Code Section 98 to create a new section, 98-1. This new section would address the declared emergency restrictions in the newly adopted Senate Bill 180. The ordinance would create a new city process whereby an applicant can apply to revert to an earlier version of the city's land development code or comprehensive plan if they provide a good faith argument as to why a new amendment is, quote, more restrictive or burdensome to their proposed development application. The ordinance is intended to comply with the new state provisions while allowing the city to initiate changes to our own regulations. So with that, staff recommends approval of ordinance 25-23. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the commission?
Mayor, if I could just, this is a pretty great ordinance. Got to give credit to Dan Langley for coming up with this idea. I'm not aware of any other local government that's taken such a proactive approach. This basically, what the legislature did was undo or attempt to undo a lot of things that have happened over the last, since I guess 2024, from what local governments have done, what's been adopted. So what this ordinance really does is it puts the city in a position to deal with anybody that believes they have been overly burdened by the ordinance that the city has adopted. It gives them a process to come back, and they can elect. They can say, oh, we want to go back to the old law, but they have to go through a bunch of steps. So it's a great protective mechanism. I think a lot of other local governments are going to look to the city if you move forward with this as to how it's crafted.
Is that why this statement is in here that kind of said really, it says, whereas the city commission hereby finds that this ordinance serves a legitimate government purpose and is in the best interest of the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Winter Garden.
Absolutely.
I don't want to put in developer more than that, but so you're saying that's the reason that clause is in there?
Yeah.
For
So
protection of that from Dan.
Absolutely, that's part of it. The legislature, as you said earlier in tonight's meeting, they're imposing these obligations on cities and counties across the state, and we don't have the money to pay for it. Well, the same thing goes with respect to development. They're giving a lot of favorable treatment to developers, and to some of the citizens' comments tonight. You know, what can we do? Well, this is a way for us as a city to make sure that we impose the fairest, most appropriate, and smartest development on development in our city, and protects the property rights of those as well. Okay. So it's a unique approach I've not seen any other local government in the state take.
Okay, good. Questions from the commission? Hearing none, this is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and we need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 25-23.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's get a motion and a vote on our meeting minutes, because we started on that and then jumped back. So the minutes have been distributed. There are no additions, deletions, or corrections. We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Indy.
I just also noticed that these are first readings for the regular business. I did not put
Put
the
the
second reading.
I was getting ready to say.
I didn't notice that until just now.
I was just getting ready to ask the second
We're
reading
gonna
public
do that
hearing on
as well.
September the 25th. That's part of your motion.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Ordinance 25-24 and 25-25.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 25-24, an ordinance of the City of Winter Garden, Florida, providing for the annexation of certain additional lands generally described as approximately 0.66 plus minus acres, located at 15359 East Oakland Avenue, east of Tilden Oaks Trail, west of Gale Mill Drive, south of Landrum Drive and north of East Oakland Avenue into the city of Winter Garden, Florida, redefining the city boundaries to give the city jurisdiction over said property, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. And ordinance 25-25, an ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, amending the future land use map of the Winter Garden Comprehensive Plan by changing the land use designation of real property generally described as approximately 0.66 plus minus acres located at 15359 East Oakland Avenue, east of Tilden Oaks Trail, west of Gale Mill Drive, south of Landrum Drive, and north of East Oakland Avenue from Orange County low-density residential to city low-density residential, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Just a note to start, the two properties that are on tonight's agenda for annexation were submitted by the same applicant. They're contiguous, and they will eventually come in as part of a single PD rezoning application. There's no zoning that's being requested at this time. And the reason why there's two sets of ordinances is because the properties came in with two separate applications, so I apologize for any redundancies.
Thank you for clarifying that.
That being said, the applicant is requesting to annex 0.66 acres of land located at 15359 East Oakland Avenue into the city and assign a future land use designation of low-density residential. The subject property is currently developed with a single-family home that was built in 2005. After annexation, the applicant intends to submit a PD rezoning application to develop a single-family subdivision on the property. And in conjunction with the adjacent 5.59 acre property, which would include maintaining and renovating the existing historic mansion while saving the property's largest legacy oaks. So with that, staff recommends approval of ordinances 25-24 and 25-25. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can you define low density for me? Is R1, does it extend to R2?
Yeah, low density residential has a certain number of zoning designations that are consistent with it. It doesn't mean it has to be zoned that way, but one of the consistent zoning designations is R1, one is R2, one is PUD, which this will likely eventually be.
Greater than 3 per acre?
No, the future land use sets the density, so no matter what it comes in, you're limited to 6.
Okay, I see, look, I just went out where it went up to. Okay. Questions from the commission?
So we're saving the mansion and we're saving the trees that we can't.
Yes, so we made it very clear that we would not entertain any PD applications that do not save the historic mansion and save those big legacies.
There is some folks that, the invasive tree species that they're going to be thinning out of that hammock, but the big ones that are out front, we're not touching.
They've had a full arborist report to identify every single tree on site. We're saving the biggest, healthiest ones.
Sorry, I should have asked if I could speak.
Oh, no, jump right in. This is a public hearing. We will open a public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and we need a motion on ordinance 25-24 and 25-25.
Move to approve ordinance 25-24 and 25-25 with a second reading and public hearing
On 9/25.
9/25.
Yes, sir.
I think I know that date after we said it 10 times.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Is it 25-23 and 24?
No, 24 and 25.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Now the other piece of the property, ordinance 25-27 and 25-28.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 25-27, an ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, providing for the annexation of certain additional lands, generally described as approximately 5.59 plus minus acres located at 15373 State Road 438, east of Tilden Oaks Trail, west of Gale Mill Drive, south of Landrum Drive, and north of State Road 438, into the city of Winter Garden, Florida, redefining the city boundaries to give the city jurisdiction over said property, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. And ordinance 25-28, an ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, amending the future land use map of the Winter Garden Comprehensive Plan by changing the land use designation of real property generally described as approximately 5.59 plus minus acres located at 15373 State Road 438, east of Tilden Oaks Trail, west of Gale Mill Drive, south of Landon Drive, and north of State Road 438 from Orange County low-density residential to city low-density residential, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting to annex 5.59 acres of land located at 15373 State Road 438 into the city and assign a future land use designation of low density residential. The subject property is currently developed with 2 single-family homes built in 1919. After annexation, the applicant intends to submit a PD rezoning application and develop a single-family subdivision on the property and the adjacent 0.66 acre property, which would, as previously mentioned, include renovating the existing historic mansion and maintaining the largest legacy oaks. So with that, staff recommends approval of 25-27 and 25-28. Answer any questions.
Questions from the commission? Hearing none. Once again, this is a public hearing. We will open a public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and we need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 2527 and ordinance 2528 with a future reading September
25th. Okay. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Ordinance 25-34.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 25-34, an ordinance of the City of Winter Garden, Florida, amending section 22-28 of Article Roman 2 of Chapter 22 of the Winter Garden City Code relating to peddlers, solicitors, and itinerant vendors to allow with homeowners associations to hold neighborhood events with mobile food dispensing vehicles subject to obtaining a special event permit, providing for conflicts, codification, severability, and effective date.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ordinance 25-34 would amend the City of Winter Garden Code Section 22-28. This ordinance would add a new provision under mobile food dispensing vehicles to allow homeowners associations to apply for a maximum of 2 special event permits per year to include mobile food dispensing vehicles, commonly known as food trucks. Currently, HOAs are only permitted to apply for 1 event a year that includes these vehicles, and this is something we've gotten a lot of feedback on and a lot of requests for from various neighborhoods, and staff feels that this ordinance would provide more opportunities for communities to hold budget-conscious community events, which is something they've mentioned. It's more budget-conscious to do it that way, while still protecting and supporting the city's local brick-and-mortar restaurants. And so with that, staff recommends approval of ordinance 25-34. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the commission? Yes, ma'am.
When it goes to public, I just, real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a time limit on that? Can these go at nighttime? Is there any parameters around that? Because I certainly wouldn't want it at night.
Sure. Every event would have to come in through a special event permit, and we review impacts that those events have on whatever community surrounds them. So yes, that'll be something that will be reviewed by staff.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing. Seeing as she did, we will close the public hearing. We need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 25-34.
Do we have a second reading public hearing on 925? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Regular business, resolution 25-09.
Yes, sir. Resolution 25-09, a resolution of the City of Winter Garden, Florida, amending the downtown core parking fees specified in section 118-1389 subsection F of the City of Winter Garden Code of Ordinances, providing for codification, severability, and effective date.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The city is requesting approval of resolution 2509 to amend the downtown core parking fee from $5,000 to $10,000 per required space for new downtown development. So an additional impact fee is mentioned to me. Per city code section 118-1839F, this fee is based on one-third cost of the land and parking to provide a typical parking space. The city recently calculated the current cost of land and construction to develop a typical parking space downtown, which is 10 feet by 20 feet. and found that 1/3 of this cost was approximately twice the current rate of $5,000. Thus, the city is recommending this cost be increased to $10,000 per space to be consistent with those provisions of the code. And just quickly, I wanted to note that there was a minor calculation error in the exhibit that was included in the agenda packet. However, those errors actually didn't change the end number or result at all. 1/3 of the total cost of a parking space still came out to $10,313.14 after the correction. So the request to amend the fee to $10,000 we still feel is appropriate. So with that, staff recommends approval of resolution 25-09. You have to answer any questions.
Any questions?
That's a one-time fee?
Yes.
Well, yeah, where'd Bob go? He was supposed to.
We had the other lady that got up and spoke at ours with town developers for fees, so it's almost like a finance person said, Laura, what can we do?
Yeah, we got all of them to get ready, so any questions? We need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carried unanimously. Special event, West Orange High School Homecoming Parade.
Thank you. And finally, West Orange High School is requesting to hold their annual homecoming parade through downtown on Thursday, September 18th from 6 to 7 p.m. They will stage everything in the parking lot at the southwest corner of East Plant Street and South Dillard, similar to previous years. Streets will be closed at 2 p.m. and then the parade will start at 6 p.m. and follow the same route that they did in prior years, west on Plant Street and turn around at South Central and go back to the parking lot. Staff recommends approval of the West Orange High School homecoming parade subject to staff conditions.
Questions? Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Matters from citizens of Winter Garden.
I just want to say one more thing. And this is a good one. Again, my name is Brenda Vanover. I live at 1063 Sadie Lane in Winter Garden. I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed the activities that Jesse brought. And I'd like to see that continued very much. It's very important to the retirees. We've become very good friends, but it's an outlet for all of us. And I just wanted to make that known to the commission and to the mayor that it's really an important group of people up there, and they do a fantastic job. So, thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. You give your name and address, please.
My name is Don Torres. I'm from 15514 Firelight Drive, Winter Garden. Yeah, I'm wondering, we're annexing all this land. How is this gonna impact the budget after we're like tight on the budget? Like, how is it gonna add to like the utility if there's gonna be like any like fire hydrants added? How is this gonna add on to the cost of the city if we're annexing all this land? We can't like afford it right now.
There would be some costs for, services, but on the other side of the equation, they will pay user fee, water bill, garbage fee, and so forth, which would cover those.
But other utilities like lights in the street, who's gonna fund that? We're gonna fund that city, or they're gonna privately fund it?
Well, streetlights is an expense that's covered by the entire general fund right now. So I'm not sure that the internal to the subdivision, they would pay their own. But if they're out there on the public right of way, there is, we do include that in the general fund this year, so on a regular basis.
Okay, and something else I want to request as well is for like the HOAs, is it possible you guys can like make the HOAs release like annual reports of like the cost for like everybody, like through mail, for example? Like, let's say this amount of money goes into like lawn service for like the whole entire like city of Winter Garden for each neighborhood that's under HOA.
So the HOAs have an HOA board that usually adopts their budgets that we don't have any control over. Now they will send in their budgets for them to us, so they're available for you to review, but we have no.
So within the city of Winter Garden, you have no power over like the HOA and like telling them to release like the budget, because they've been very closed about the budget. I've been trying to like access, see where they're doing their expenditures.
What's the neighborhood?
Belmead.
Do we have access to that public record?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we can get you that budget.
Public record. Oh, that's not a problem. Kelly can help you out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, anyone else? Okay.
City attorney.
Pass, Mayor, no report. All right.
City manager.
Pass, Mayor, no report.
Caught me off guard, I was ready to start. Commissioner Sharman.
So, I got this book was featured on the Super Bowl. One of the players made a bad play. It's called Inner Excellence. And he was reading on the sideline. And, everybody was down on him because I think he caused an interception. But then he read the book and focused back in on what he could do. And went out and made a game-saving play, and his team ended up winning. So I bought the book back then. I thumbed through it, and I was getting that inner feeling that I get sometimes. Open up, and there's something, a message in here for me. I think there might be some messages in for some other people that I want to share too, but I want to share one. So, and this goes along with something, a theme of mine for the past year. So that every circumstance, every person you encounter is here to teach and help you. If it's all working for your going good. So that's one bullet point I want to read. So if you look at a situation, you're struggling, things are going bad, there's a reason for it and a lesson to be learned. So I'm going to leave it with that.
Just continue to thank staff for all the hard work, and it's good to see so many of our constituents out here coming to our meetings, so thank you guys.
Commissioner Jones.
I want to say that I experienced that there was an accident in a building across my building where I work, and I wanted to thank the first responders and the fire department. You guys were amazing. You guys responded right away, and because of that, this gentleman was able to save his arm. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for your work and everything you guys do.
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, staff. You always do a great job budget preparation, and this was like the clip notes. It was very much appreciated, and it was very helpful. And I do want to say I've gotten several calls from seniors and people that do go to Jesse Brock, and they get a lot of services that are extremely helpful as far as classes and things like that. So I do think it's very important among all the other important things that we do consider. And I want to thank Mr. Torres for continuing to come and engage. It's really cool to see somebody your age. It's interesting. So, thank you. That's it.
Thanks, staff. I really want to thank Laura and John and the staff for the budget and putting up with me going through all the budget, asking questions and enlightening me. So I do appreciate it. And people have to understand it is a lot of work, and we do take everything into account and work very hard for the city. So for that, we hope everyone has a blessed evening. We'll adjourn.